last week. I'm glad to be here. Mr. Ross, great to see you.
God bless you, sir.
Hi there. Are you going to go on a Zoom call?
All right, so the next time the recording button comes on, don't accidentally hit leave me. I just reached up there real quick, hit the wrong button. Glad to be back. Like I said, I'm excited to be here. Mr. Ross, great seeing you again, sir, having you with
You too, sir.
All right.
Bless
I am Eric Collier. I'm a motivational speaker. I'm also known as the mayor of motivation. I have been working with Doreen. Now, I got a chance to meet her back in, was it July, August timeframe, when up at Columbia University, and we just connected right off the bat. I talk about connection simply because what I believe is my life is bigger than me. And so understanding that now, where I didn't before, realize that I'm connecting a piece of the puzzle that's a puzzle that's a lot larger than I am. And so I talk about the connection that I have to make with me so that I can connect with the world. And so when I heard Doreen say we're all pieces of the puzzle when we first met, it was a wrap. So I've been a part of this. And so something else about me, I'm a veteran. I'm a husband of 32 years, and I've got 3 children and 3 grandchildren. Or excuse me, 6 grandchildren, 3 grandboys, 3 granddaughters.
Right.
And so what I enjoy doing is I talk from experience and I coach from experience. I talk about mental quicksand. And what I mean by the mental quicksand, we're allowing that negativity, doubt, fear, and worry to creep into the mind. I'll say flow into the mind to the point where we're facing opportunities to change our life and we're stuck in that mental quicksand and we don't take it in, make that change. And so whether it be in relationships, whether it be in our career, our finances, our spiritual world, we're just stuck in a mental quicksand state of mind that tells us we're not good enough, we're not worthy, we can't do it, and we go on to live a smaller life than what we actually deserve. So this part of my life is all about helping people discover why they're stuck in that mental quicksand so they can get out of it and start really living the life that they were put on this earth to live. So with that, I am your host, and I'm happy to be here, but I've also got a co-host, Sean, who'll be joining us here shortly, that I'm really excited about working with him as well. But I love this show because a man's perspective. Think about it. I'm 54. I'll be 54 years old in March. And one of the things I grew up with, and I know you all grew up with, is we don't cry. We don't whine about anything. We just go to work. Stop. If we do, we look soft. If we do, people won't respect us. And so we operate in a different mindset. Not only that, the mental side of the house. How many of you have ever heard, we don't go to psychologists, there's nothing wrong with you, get up, you're just being lazy. But there's a depression that kicks into our life and we stay stuck. So with that, Mr. Goodrich, glad to have you joining us. I've looked forward to hearing your story a little bit more. And I want to go around the room before I give you the floor. Just let everybody just introduce themselves, and we kind of get to know each other, do a little bit of a network here. Mr. Ross, I'm gonna start with you.
Yes, sir. Well, Elder Ross. I'll start telling age. I'm 88 years old. I'll be 89 next week, and I experienced
looking great,
younger man, and I'm glad to be on the night. That's about all I could say right now.
Hey, so when's your birthday, sir?
On February 13th.
Okay, all right. I was just checking out. My anniversary is the 2nd, so I'm just checking that out.
Oh, okay, all right.
All right, and I've forgotten his name already. I heard the word Ohio, and being a Georgia Bulldog fan, the Ohio State Buckeyes quickly came into my mind, but from Ohio, sir. Can you introduce yourself, please?
Yes, this is Keith Burkhart. I live here in Columbus. I formerly lived in Maryland, and I know Brother Frank Goodrich quite well. We got to meet over 25 years ago when he had a ministry called Men Against Pornography back in the day, and we were roommates for a period of time, and that was a great time in my life. And privileged to know Frank over the years, and he'll probably talk more about that that time of his life as well. But we got to see each other a couple years ago. I live here now. I've been here 10 years, and I'm 55. Just turned 55 earlier this month, so I am getting closer to the senior discount.
Well, congratulations,
And,
sir.
Amen.
So anyway, I'm just honored to be here on this call. I got a work break, believe it or not, so I got a window of time to actually be on a Zoom call before I have to go back to work. So
Okay.
I am here and honored to be a part of your group tonight, and I will pass the baton on here.
All right. Well, since we're running short on your time, I want to make sure you get as much information and questions answered as possible. So we'll let Sean introduce himself when he come back. Well, he's back.
Hey, sorry about that, gentlemen. I was actually just posting and just sharing it on our social media handle as the social media manager here. But just real brief, my name is Sean White. As Brother Eric mentioned, I'm one of the co-hosts, and I'm also a founder and creator of a brand which is called Transformation Greatness, which is all about motivating, encouraging, and inspiring the masses. And with that brand, it is triple fold. So I am a speaker as well as a life coach, as well as mindset coach, and also a hypnotherapist. And I'm just so happy and grateful to be a part of this community. And I've been a part of the Circle of Love now, I believe going on 6 months now, if I'm not mistaken. And it's just been an absolute joy. So with that, I'm definitely excited, and I'm ready to hear Frank's story because, man, I know it's powerful. So that's pretty much it on my end.
Right. Mr. Goodrich, the floor is yours, sir.
To meet all the partners in this space, and I want to thank the Circle. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're kind of in and out.
Okay, I want to make sure you can hear me clearly. Can you hear me clearly?
If you can kind of maybe move closer to the mic or move the mic closer to you.
I'm going to do something real quick, so this is not going to be a hindrance. Just give me 30 seconds, please.
Okay.
Give me 30 seconds.
And make sure everybody else, they mute their mics as well.
So as he does that, I want everybody just kind of think about some of the challenges you had this week, and we'll talk about that a little later on before we shut down, because that's important to be able to get that off of your chest. Some of those challenges, sometimes you can kind of talk through them and figure things out. I found it was funny. I had a conversation with a young lady in my office the other day, and she was talking to me about her problem. Oh my goodness. I really didn't say much. I'm just sitting there. Yeah. And she said something, and she goes, well, I guess I just figured it all out. Thanks, Eric. But it was pretty interesting. Sean, I applaud you in what you're doing with your show, man. I see you putting the episodes in after episodes. Congratulations. I'm actually working with Stephen Ward, and we've already signed papers to start our podcast conversation with Eric and Stephen as well. So, Mr. Goodrich, it's all yours, sir.
All right, brother. Can you hear me right now? I'll do one more thing here.
That's beautiful.
All right, excellent. Well, Keith, it's good to hear you, see you on Zoom again. Brother Eric, thank you. Brother Sean, thank you for the invite and for what Circle of Love United has been doing. I guess since we became a part of this through my wife and her coaching practice, lifeinthehardplaces.com. So I live in the state of Maryland with many people who are on this panel right now. And, my story, actually, I'd like to start where it is today. Today, I am actually writing. Today, I actually oversee a men and women's ministry coming out, an organization helping people to come out of addiction, various types of addiction. but especially the bondage to sex and lust addiction. And that is something that's close to my vest, because that is something that has consumed a huge chunk of my life. And it didn't just crop up and happen one day, brothers. It is something that was, they talk about nature versus nurture. I don't really delve into that, but I know that there were factors that set me up to be over sensualized growing up. It wasn't until I was able to find a level of freedom and clarity in 2015 that my life began to make sense again, and all of the broken pieces begin to fall in place. And I give full thanks and honor for that to Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior. I want to say that. I'm married. I love my wife. I'm in love. I get to be her husband. Her name is Rhonda, and we remarried in 2018. I'm 55 years old. I turned 55 October of last year, so I'm in that over 50 crew, and I'm blessed to be here still. Every day is a miracle. Every day is a new adventure, especially when, like for me, I wasn't even like living for the longest time. I was doing a whole lot of existing. Existing is not, I don't find that anywhere in the Bible. I don't remember Jesus Christ saying, I come to give you life so you can exist and exist to the best of your ability. He says, I come to give you life and that life more abundantly. And the abundant life is something that I'm enjoying every day. Some days I'm tired, some days I don't want to engage, but every day is a new adventure and I face it that way. And it makes everything that much more meaningful, even the things that do not go my way. I fell in love in 1996 when I met this woman in a Ellicott City fitness center. I met her and I said, she seems to be focused. She seems to have a knowledge of self, a love for the Lord, a sense of direction. And I knew that I wanted to have something more to do with her. Fast forward to 2000, we got married, fellas. We got married in a Baptist church in Ellicott City. I remember I forgot my socks, so I had to shoot across the street to run to a Target to get some socks. So I didn't look like a fool, because back in the day, it wasn't smooth to wear, pants with no shoes. It's smooth now, but back in the day, that was a no-no. So I got my Target socks on, I married her, and that's all I had. That was it. We got married. After that, I didn't know what to do. I drew a blank. I literally drew a blank. And before, when I would draw a blank, I had the luxury of isolating and going inside myself and trying to figure out life, if that makes sense, trying to figure out my next move. But now I had this constant person by my side, my wife, Rhonda, and it was difficult to try to figure out life when I was supposed to be learning how to coexist with another human being that God had designed just for me. I withdrew. I stayed out there for a long time, brothers, and I'm not proud of that. There's a form of DV, and DV is another term for domestic violence. And what I would do was I would withhold myself from my wife. I would go silent. I would just, I would not engage. And I wouldn't engage because I was paralyzed. But the way that was presented in the marriage was hostility and anger. And those were the worst years of my life. And I can be very embarrassed about that, but that was my experience. And it caused a whole lot of damage, a whole lot of harm to my beautiful wife. And she did the right thing. She had me removed from the house because, brothers, I got to tell you, things were getting rough. And I was removed from the house, and I was out. I was out of the house, and we spent the next several months and years trying to fight for a marriage that that I could not engage in fully. I still had a whole lot of work to do. So in 2007, that marriage dissolved. We divorced. It was the end of my dream. Couple that with me now trying to come out of addiction. When I was removed from the house, some of the things that I was doing way back in high school that had to do with alcohol and drugs, that I was able to stop during my courting years, came back full force when I was removed from the house. So alcohol came back into play and drugs came back into play. And I was able to stop those behaviors in 2003. And I'm already out of the house, but I was able to stop those behaviors in 2003. And now I'm in a program teaching me how to live and function again without the abuse of alcohol and drugs. So I call it, I was fighting two battles at that time. I was fighting for my marriage, and I was fighting for my freedom from addiction. My constant in those days was my faith in Christ. And I was winning one of those battles, but the other, it was difficult. So that was that. That takes from 2003 to 2007 to the divorce. I'm off drugs, I'm off alcohol, I'm divorced, I'm living by myself. And here's what happened. And this is good. This is going to get into the meat of what I want to share here with the Circle of Love United Incorporated group. What happened was I'm living by myself in an overpriced apartment as a single man, off of drugs and alcohol, and another behavior crept up. And this had to do with the addiction to lust and sex. I openly share this on platforms because it's part of my journey, part of my testimony. And the more I expose this, the more I continue to not only walk in the freedom that I found, but also to help other young men, middle-aged men, older brothers and sisters understand the power of sharing where you are, no matter where you are on that trajectory in life, sharing that to help you realize that you are not alone, you are not isolated, you are not by yourself. So when I learned to be able to say, hey, I have issues with having way too much sex with people I don't even like, I was able to find some help. And it came to head, follow my trajectory here from 2000 getting married, 2003 coming off of drugs and alcohol, 2007 a divorce, 2008 off of drugs and alcohol, single, using people for sex. Lands me in 2015 of September. In my 40s, I think I might have been 47, 48 at that time, okay? I phoned a friend from work. I was having a crisis. I was having a life's crisis. And I know Brother Eric said he's a coach and Brother Sean is a coach as well. And crisis has a way of jacking you up against a wall saying you're either going to do something here or you're going to have a worse outcome. So what I was able to do at that time was I phoned a friend. The guy's name is Jay. I called Jay from work. And my crisis was, I was at work and I stopped smoking cigarettes for a long time. I wanted to walk down to the corner, the convenience store and buy a pack of cigarettes because I was in so much pain from acting out. I said, let me call. So I called Jay. I said, Jay, I can't stop having sex. That's all I said. That's all. It was a Sunday, by the way. And Jay said, that sounds familiar. Jay told me to do some things. Jay told me about a group, and I was able to find a group of men and a couple of women who were talking about the things that were going on inside my spirit that I never heard voiced in an open forum. And I knew I found my tribe. I gotta say that September 30th, 2015 was probably one of the best and one of the most momentous days of my life, when I was able to stop using people for my own fleshly and carnal needs. And with that, my life blossomed. Here, I want to just talk about a little bit of what set me up for this particular type of addiction. Some may call it a father wound, a mother wound. It's all trauma. Now, I also talk about trauma, Brother Eric, Brother Sean, Brother Harold, Keith, because I need to stay in touch with therapy works, coaching works, counseling works. And it's hard to get yourself unstuck if you're still sick. That's where someone else gets to come in and speak into your life and hear things and help you to pinpoint when certain triggers happened in your life that set you up for certain types of behaviors in your future. And I was able to get in touch with that by sitting with a trauma therapist for the better part of 2.5 years. I think that might have been 2016 to 2018, if you will. No longer having street sex, found sobriety, okay, found freedom and all that stuff. But now it was time to go to the core. And I was able to go to the core. And I was able to see just how wounded my inner child was. It was never healed from that trauma. I want to say this. I'm 55. I still have 2 living parents. My birth parents are still with us. And I thank God for that. And I love them today. I love them. I don't hold anything against them, because Christ went to the cross for all of us, for all those wounds, for every single one of us. But I had to pave myself back to freedom. And with that sobriety and that freedom, and now the healing with the trauma, all that was in front of me was best life now, best life now, best life now. I'm telling you. And I say this to inspire and encourage men and women to understand that no matter where you are, and I know trauma, I know hurt, if you're still alive, you got something in front of you to do, a mission, a purpose, or something. So in 2017, during trauma therapy, free, not using people that I didn't like, all this stuff, in my heart, I always loved Rhonda. We're talking, look, 2000 to 2017. I still love this woman. And we had a chance meeting. And in that chance meeting, she said something to me where she said, "You look the same, but you look different." And that's a good thing. So the work that was going on the inside of me was now being shown even through my physical self. And I thank God for that. So it might have been a little while later, I asked her out on a date. Oh man. And she said yes. Now, she had her own journey, and that's a very rich, painful, meaningful process when it was just her and Jesus Christ and her sisters. But when she said yes, I heard If any man be in Christ, he's a new creature. Old things have passed away. Oh, behold, all things have become new. I heard, you know, New Man. There's a song called New Man. New Man. Right, I was new. And lo and behold, we got remarried in 2018. The same man that gave her away in 2000 gave her to me again in 2018. And I cried at the altar. I know it's an unlikely outcome, but it's all for the glory of Christ and for his church. And yeah, I'm here. And now it is Mission Central. It's Mission Central. I still have, let me get real here. I still have those temptations because I'm still in this fallen flesh. Okay? They come. But I also have this relationship with men and with my wife that I can share with them exactly where I am. Exactly where I am. That is the church being the church. I no longer try to figure out things on my own. I have brothers. I have 2 core brothers, actually maybe 3 or 4 that I can talk to about anything. I'm talking about Christian community and the importance of having your circle that you can tell anything to and know that you're going to be safe in sharing. You're not going to be attacked or judged. That's key. I also have to learn that I'm not in competition with anyone else. I'm not in competition. You know, I can talk about Enneagrams and my number and all that stuff and why I feel like I got to shine the brightest in a room. I'm not in competition with anyone. I'm free to be, look, I'm 55. I'm free to be a senior, a man, just doing what is in front of me. Number 1 mission, serving God. Number 2, loving my wife. And number 3, whatever God wants to do with what he has healed me from, to be able to share my testimony, my stories with other people, I just say, yes, Lord. Yes, Lord. And in wrapping, you know, we, you know, Brother Eric talked about his children and he talked about his grandchildren. That's not a part of my story. That's not my story. My story is I don't have any offspring. We had some losses. We went through some stuff. And where that can sit on my soul as a regret, it also has allowed me more time to serve Christ and his church with leading with this weakness, leading with this honesty that God is still good today. He is so good. He's the only one that I know of that can turn a heap of ashes into a pile of beauty. So I have time. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm an author. I head up an organization. I head up a media and a marketing company. I partner with my wife with her coach, her very successful coaching practice. We help couples through their being stuck, through our experiences and our education and the things that we have learned along the way. We stay busy. We have to schedule timeouts. We have to schedule date nights. We have to schedule time to sit still, no devices. We're part of a powerful church, Valley Brook Community Church in Columbia, Maryland. Pastor Dan Beatty and Sister Laverne Beatty, we love them so much. And we take things a day at a time. We don't take anything for granted. Nothing for granted. We know about the brevity of life, that tomorrow's not promised, that my spouse is on loan to me. And one thing I want to share in closing, brothers, is Brother Keith is still on the line from Ohio. I love this brother. We did ministry back in the early 90s. I headed up an organization called Men Against Pornography, but all these years later, we head up an organization. It's called lustkills.com. You can find it anywhere, lustkills.com. We have community via a website, which is our main vehicle. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. And we actually already wrote our first piece. It's called How to Stay Stopped. This will be on Amazon this spring, God willing. And we're also working on our second piece. This is called 50 Habits to Start Now. I got to give it all back to God because he rescued me, not just for myself. God rescued me. And yeah, brothers, that's what's going on today. I thank you for this opportunity. I want to be a service to what is happening in this space with Sister Doreen, with Sister Beverly, with Brother Eric, Brother Sean. Thank God for your work, that we can talk about these things that you don't often hear on Sundays, that we need to hear Monday through Sunday to let us know that we're not far out there on our own. We get to have community together. So yeah, that's what's happening over here. My name is Frank Goodrich, and yeah, thank you so much for listening, gentlemen.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. I'm coming to you. Thank you for sharing. And like I said, I applaud you because I know how hard it is coming from the addiction, not just having one myself, but just growing up in a home where alcohol and drug addiction was
Yes.
and seeing the many times that you visit, you visit, you come home and you go back. You visit, you go home, you come back. And so I applaud you. Not a lot of people are able to walk away from that addiction, whether it be sex, whether it be drugs, alcohol, domestic violence addiction, as far as I'm concerned. But it's a tough one. So I applaud you for that. Sean, well, hold on. Mr. Leroy was first, and I'm sorry, Mr. Harris. I just gave you a name, Mr. Different name there, Mr. Ross. I apologize to you. Leroy didn't have anything to say. Mr. Ross came in and wanted to say anything. Go ahead, sir.
I like to ask a question because it's familiar with the young man just talk. He used the word trauma therapist, and this is new to me. He used it a couple of times, and coaches. Can you give me some idea? I have some young men that I like next time get on this with them. They're having different situations. Sound like some this man mentioned tonight, divorce and another thing, widow and things. Can you tell me more about this entitled trauma therapist? It note in my mind.
Amen.
Maybe I can recommend some young men.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with the trauma therapist. Coaching wise, yes. Coaching is someone who is going to help you work through your problems, not just give you the answers, going to help you come up with your own answer and understanding of it. Trauma therapist, I'm not a medical person. I couldn't tell you on that one, but I assume it's all about sitting down and talking about what's going on in your life, what are some of the challenges you're facing, and then it just really takes you down deeper into what the real cause is.
No.
Because there's that surface cause, and I like to say you use what they call the why ladder to really walk you through what is going on.
Beautiful. Why ladder.
So the more you ask why, the deeper the person has to think, and now you start to uncover what that real is.
Okay, that sounds like yes.
Is that okay, brother? Are you okay with that, Brother Harold?
Yes, you put some thought. Yes, it's clearer now. When he put the word coach and get some different
trauma therapist, and they're definitely credentialed. They definitely have years of schooling, experience, and letters behind the name. Who are trained in different forms of trauma as they pertain to a certain demographic in certain age ranges, and they're trained to trace back to the source and help you walk through practical ways to not let the trauma keep you stuck in sin.
Right. Thank you. Yes. All right.
Definitely.
That's great. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yes, brother. Yes, brother.
Thank you for your question, sir. Mr. White, you had a question.
Not necessarily a question, but Brother Frank, I most certainly commend you for coming on here and even sharing that with us. And
yes.
as you were sharing me your story, I was just thinking about as far as like with the inner child wounds, and especially as far as in our community, that is something that we are definitely taught as far as to keep that like hush hush, and we just deal with it. So for the fact that you were so candid and so open, even sharing that with us, it definitely, it says a lot about your character, and even just seeking out as far as, the help and getting to that point where you just said enough was enough. I need to really do something about this. If not, then, it can get even more uglier. I guess my question would be, Brother Frank, is that at what point during your journey, or was it like a certain event where you just said, okay, you know what? That's it. I had enough, man. Like, okay, something has got to give. What was the exact turning point? You might have described it and I missed it, and I do apologize for that. But what was that point for you and that experience and the feelings like, if you don't mind sharing that?
Yeah. Thank you so much, Brother Sean, for that question. And I like the way you posed it as well. The point for me, one of the many points for me, maybe one of the top ones is, I knew that I just wasn't born broken. I knew that I just wasn't born, broken. And you mentioned talking about wounded, inner child trauma and wounded. That's something, and especially in our community as African-American males and females, I'm not really open to share that with my siblings, because if I were, then that too would make them feel as if they may have things in their lives that are governing their lives that they don't want to address. And if I bring it out, then it's going to hold them up against the wall like, wait a minute. And now you have two people pitted against each other, because nobody wants to be made to feel uncomfortable, especially if they found a measure of acceptance of certain circumstances in their lives. So they don't want to hear this, because in some ways it may make, well, what are you saying about our parents, yo? You know what I mean? What are you saying about our parents? You got to keep the peace.
Right.
Keep the peace if I'm living in hell. And if I really want to experience all the freedom that is due me, I need to search. I need to go in and figure out some stuff. And I don't have to, nor was I meant to do this on my own. So the point for me was, okay, first I had this addiction, and now I have this addiction. And so, like, where did this all come from? What's going on? What is happening here? When I got free from drugs and alcohol, and then subsequently got free from acting out in random sex acts, I wanted to know the genesis. Where did these things stem from? And I believe in the health model. I believe in the therapeutic community. I do. My wife's in the community. I'm also, let me just be real right here in this space, because this is what Kolu is all about, right? Let me tell you that I am a brother who has learned to live and manage his bipolar symptoms for more than going on 25 years. Imagine all the men and women who are going in extremes One day they're this way, next day they're that way, but
Mhm.
they have no idea that there is a solution to certain medical conditions. If I had diabetes, where's my insulin, please? Can I have that? I'm a cancer patient. Hey, can I get some of that chemo? Yo, I need it.
Yeah.
Well, what if I have an imbalance here and God says, hey, by the way, Frank, there's something for that too.
Wow. My God.
Woe to me. Woe to me if I don't explore those avenues.
Right.
Talking about, I want to experience the best life that I'm supposed to have on this side before I get to that heavenly existence where there's no more tears.
Right.
So, Brother Sean, it was like, where did these things come from that caused me to search? And then God would just bring certain people into my life. Hey, Frank, check her out. She might have some information for you. By the way, she's got a couple of letters behind her name. She might be able to connect some dots for you.
Mm. That's real big. I think I mentioned that before. That's so, especially in our community. Again, that's big to even think about going to look at a therapist, even when you're going through things, even when you're struggling, because again, it's taboo, right? Like I said, it makes you look weak. It makes you look like a punk. You know, you being soft, man. You don't need to go to no therapist. You need to suck it up. Stop crying and whining. So I applaud you for that, because we can't fix our problems all the time. We're not. How can you fix a problem that you know nothing about? You know, I always talk about, one of my favorite quotes is by John Milton. He said, "The mind can make the mind in itself is the mind is its own self. It can make a heaven of hell or a hell of heaven." Of course, that comes from scripture, but I still like it. But the power of the mind can convince you that the path that you're on is the right way. The path that you're on, that you're on, you're doing it what you're supposed to be doing it, because sometimes we are conditioned by what we've seen, conditioned by what we've heard. Television sometimes shows us these things. And in our community, like I said, you're talking about going to see a therapist. So I'm supposed to take away money from this household to go see a therapist, right? I'm supposed to take food off this table to go see a therapist. You better figure it out. Yeah, and then you don't have the patience. So we look at medication and medicine and the medical community. I want to go to see a therapist, but I got to go through a process where I got to get a referral, right? So I got to go through this long, drawn out process to get to this therapist 6 months later. So a lot of it, the idea changes, right? Go ahead, sir.
What is the first thing that happens, or the second thing that happens after a massive, say, like if there was an active shooter in a school, what's going to happen the very next day? Who's coming in?
Oh, they bring the therapist in, right?
The therapist in.
Mental health.
Why?
Yeah.
Why? Because a trauma took place.
Yes.
Trauma took place, and a recovery needs to happen.
Right. And it's easier for them than individuals, right? It's easier for that than individuals. And that's it's a tough one. I
Yes,
agree
sir.
with you. So something, man, I like it sitting there listening to you, and you talk about childhood trauma, and you talk about not being able. I listened to you from last week. I wasn't on the call, but I listened to you from last week. So we talk about childhood trauma. You're talking about being in your house, coexisting with your wife, and getting married and not being able to figure things out. And I heard you talked about you withdrew and that becoming a form of domestic violence. And I heard you talk about throwing the table across the room. And I can relate to what you're talking about, because I always talk about that volcano button being pushed. And let's face it, who knows how to push your button better than the woman you love, right? The woman you love can push that button so easy because she knows your hot points. She knows that you're a man. So if I tell you you're not a man, and I compare you to somebody that else, that's gonna tick you off. And if I do something that threatens your manhood or makes you look soft because you're not providing like I think you should, right? Like TV says you should, or like the books say we should get married and everything should be happily ever after. And I found myself, I would be breaking doors, man. I'm telling you, punching holes in the walls, doors. I'm not going to hit you because that's domestic violence. I'm not going to hit you, but I'm going to hit this door. I'm going to hit this wall. And it wasn't until one night that I punched a television. Now, y'all remember them old little 20-inch televisions with the tubes? And I don't know what I was thinking that night. The
Yes, sir.
volcano button went off and I hit that thing. And it immediately went, my hand immediately went like, just crumbled up. And I'm sitting at the hospital and they say, Mr. Collier, what happened? And I'm really smart. I came up with a grade when I'm watching the basketball game and I just got ticked off, lost a lot of money, punched the television. Uh-huh. Is this really what happened? Yeah, that's what happened. He said, come in here, sir. We're gonna wrap your hand up, but sit right here. And they sit me at the end of the bed. And you know where they sit me? In front of this wall. On this wall, outline what domestic violence was. He said, read that while we're sitting here. And they had me sitting there for a long time in pain before they wrapped it up. And part of it was that those things that you talked about, right? And so it changed the game for me. And so I want to know, how long did it really take you to be able to realize that? Because nobody thinks of being quiet and withdrawing as domestic violence. It just thinks he's an introvert, right? So how long did it take you to really understand that that was really driving her crazy? I'm sorry, that's the wrong verbiage, but I mean really making her mad or really making her feel unwanted.
I want to be clear, and if I get a bigger megaphone and a larger audience, I'm gonna continue to say the same thing. That is abuse. I was abusing my wife by withholding myself from her like that. I want to be clear about that. I want to call it what it is. When I threw that table across the kitchen in front of this docile woman, that was abuse.
Right.
I want to be clear about terminology. Words matter. It wasn't right. It wasn't right. Why am I in attack mode? And sometimes attack is like covert. It goes under. You don't say nothing.
Right.
But in the spiritual realm, you're throwing darts. And it wasn't what I wanted to do. I didn't plan, I'm gonna go into the house after work, I'm not gonna say a word to her. It wasn't what I wanted to do, The whole thing is laid out also in Romans 7. The good that I wanted to do, I couldn't do. The things that I did want to do, I couldn't do. I was confused. I needed a lot of help. I needed a lot of clarity. So just coming, core issues. I would love if someone did a meeting just called core issues. Like, what's the core? What's at the core?
Right.
A lot of these other things are just symptoms, Brother Eric. Drug use, alcohol abuse, domestic violence, lust and sex abuse. Those are symptoms. So when we really get to delve as men on core issues, you'll hear words like this: anger. Here's one for you: frustration. There's more.
Yeah.
As a senior member in our community at 55 years old, and I see a lot of young people in my field. I'm in hospitality. I see a lot of young Black males. They look like this.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
This is withdrawal. They're out.
Right.
What don't you want to face? What's going on? What are you shielding yourself from?
Right.
Here's a question. What wound are you not trying to feel?
Right.
What happened? Here's a question. As you get into your 20s and 30s, okay? Because we're living in such a carnal world.
Right.
My wife she presents on human trafficking. We live in a carnal world. Here's a question. If you really get someone's attention, who touched you?
Right.
There's a lot of things that aren't being spoken, but all these things that are happening as the masking emotion tell the story. Right. If you touch somebody the wrong way, they're gonna blow up.
Yeah.
Look at the news.
Right. So I mentor high school students and we talk a lot about that. And one of the big discussions was, I'm here for an hour to mentor you, right? To work and coach and talk to you and find out a little bit more about you and try to help you work through some of the problems. Why do you want to be on your phone? And that's a big one. That's a question we have. What is it that you're trying to do? What is it that you're trying to accomplish? And so I think that is, like you said, what's the big thing behind that? And I think, let me ask you this. There's a story that I love, and it talks about a man who used a monster to handle all of his tasks. And that monster would go out and handle all of his tasks and come back, okay, I'm ready to go. And every time he put that monster on a task, he'd knock it out real quick, and that monster would come back. And it drove the man nuts. Finally, he goes into town and he talks to an elder man, right? Knowledge, wisdom. He says, look, I got this monster. It's driving me nuts. The old man writes something down. He said, the next time the monster comes your way, give him these instructions, and everything will be all right. So he goes back. Monster bugs him. He said, look, this is what I want you to do. He said, I want you to go dig a hole. He said, I want you to get a pole buried in that hole. And then I want you to do is climb that pole. And you climb that pole until I need you. And when I need you, you come back, handle the task, and then go back and climb that pole. So my question is, what pole did you not have to be able to drive your monster, your brain, to control? Because a lot of times our mind, as scripture talks about, is that we perish when we don't have a pole to climb, right? When we don't have a goal, a mission to accomplish. And so what was it that you wanted to do? All right, so that you were fighting, that you were not allowing your brain to take over in your life. Because I think that's sometimes where we really get lost. Just talking from experience, I wasn't dreaming, right, at 30. So my drinking was a problem.
Yes. I like that story. Thank you for sharing that, Brother Eric. I really appreciate that. I haven't heard that one before. For me, I just wanted someone to hear me.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. I wanted to be able to say, I got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to be able to say this. I didn't deserve a lot of that stuff that happened when I was a little boy.
Mm-hmm.
But how do you say that?
Got you.
How do you say that when, I'm not going to say because I was a middle child and I'm in business. No. How do you say that if you feel like everything out of your mouth is going to be met with a certain type of judgment and punishment?
Right.
What do you do? Where's a safe place?
Mm-hmm.
Here's where men go. You want to know where men go? And some women, you know where we go? We go into ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
We dissolve into ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
You know what that sounds like to me? That sounds like where fantasy is born.
Mm-hmm.
You know what fantasy leads to? Look at the $1 billion industry of pornography, prostitution.
Right.
What happened? We went into ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And no one really explained to us that it's safe to come out. Come out, little black boy, and share your stories. You matter. Now let me go inside. And not only let me go inside, but when I go inside myself, I want to be the most powerful version of myself. Now I'm playing God.
Mm-hmm. Follow
me. Now I'm inside here, so now I want to be this dominant figure. And if things don't go my way, I'm gonna show you that you're messing with the wrong person. And some guys, they have that blow up this way, right? The worst type, they stay in. They withhold from the kids,
right,
from the spouse. You understand? They're in. Now, all these other innocent people, the family, are becoming victims of an inner rage and seed.
Mm-hmm.
That can only end in two ways.
Right.
You don't check that. Where's that going to go? Look at the news.
Right. Yeah.
Look at the news.
Yeah. Yeah. That's very real there, Mr. Sean. You're correct. Yeah. And so that's a big question. It's those things that we bury inside and don't talk about that drives us to the point where the anger takes over in our lives. And so I want to thank you for it. You don't have to, I appreciate, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, so make sure, I pray in the future, whatever, there's solutions to these these issues. So I just want to see that as well. The solutions, very practical solutions, Brother Sean.
Yeah, I think, like I said, I applaud you. Like I said, you didn't have not having to go into depth is a tough one sometimes to talk about those things, just to even come close to talking about those things. But I applaud you for doing that, because that is something that a lot of people will not even touch on. They won't even go into even acknowledging that that's a problem for them. It's there. They've chosen to push it back so far, they've forgotten it happened, or that they just won't even address it. And so then you look at my big question is how the conversation went with you and your wife to bring her to that understanding of what's going on. But I'll let Mr. Sean ask his question real quick.
Yeah, no, that was actually a powerful statement on what he said, because as Brother Frank was speaking, it just reminded me as far as how the way I grew up, right? And as far as with a lot of my friends and homeboys, because of the fact that we all came from like broken homes, and to even try to express that, like, how at that age can you express to someone that, hey, I'm hurting, right? I'm frustrated. What happens then is that we learn to keep that inside, and we become like the black sheep. And I spoke about that a lot as far as like in my personal life. And since that, just using me as an example, because I really didn't have someone that would listen to me, it had to come out in other facets, such as rage, anger, crime, drugs, sex, you name it, pretty much did it. But all the while, I was basically just looking for someone just to listen to me and not judge me per se. So, bro, Frank, you hit that spot on, and it just really just had me thinking, like, wow, because a lot of my friends that I grew up with, unfortunately, they're either dead or they're doing life without the possibility of parole. So God definitely spared me, to say the least. So, but yeah, I mean, that was just spot on. So I will let you continue with that. That was very powerful, though.
So and back to what I was saying, I'd be interested to hear how your wife phrase this right. So you're having you eventually you've got to talk this out with your wife, and to sit her down. And I know that was a struggle. I know that had to be a very difficult conversation for you, and all of the thoughts that were going through your head of how she's going to view you after hearing this. How did you feel afterwards, and how long did it take you to really, if you felt like you were less than the man after that conversation, or if you were worried about her leaving, how long did you overcome those feelings?
In our marriage part 2?
Yes, because I imagine that conversation went down after when you got back together the second time. And for that to go further, I imagine it had to happen before you actually got married.
We're going to be thankfully celebrating one day at a time, 5 years of remarriage this July.
Cool. Congrats.
That's a major feat for us. It's major. Every day, it's like having a conversation every day. I talk about this often. The top 2 tiers in any type of relationship, especially a wedding relationship, is trust and communication.
Right.
Trust and communication. I had to trust through all the work when I was out there getting sober, okay, let's say that, and work with a trauma therapist. I had to trust that no matter Rhonda's response to me, that I was going to be okay.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
That I was going to be okay. I got to remember, I'm the little kid, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to be okay. I'm not going to be chastised for telling my story. I also had to trust, Brother Eric, that when she told me all those years ago that she loved me, I was also testing love in its purest context for the first time.
Yeah.
But love is spelled T-I-M-E.
Mm-hmm.
It took time for her to watch me to see if I am actually living up to what's coming out of my mouth.
Right. Yeah.
And I had to also watch her to see if what I'm sharing with her is going to be used against me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
That's not an overnight thing.
I know it's not either. Nope. Because what is it? You forgive, but you keep bringing it up. Yeah, it's always there. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I can imagine. I can imagine the fears, right? The fears. I tell you this. Now I walk into a room and you're with your sister or you're with your mom and dad, and they're looking at me like, So have you told them too? Did you know? Do I need to talk to them too? And I can imagine that. But I applaud you for doing it. And I know it's a journey. It's a journey of work that you're gonna have to put in. And I think what you said, what was it that God rewards work, right? Something you say, and I agree with you, right? You can't say you want something and then sit back and expect it to happen. So the work that you put in on yourself, I applaud you because it's big. And like you said, you had to trust that she believed that there was a change in you. And a lot of the times when people see us, even though we're changing, they don't see the change. They see the old us. And it's hard for them to let that old us go because you've always hurt me before. You told me many times this is not going to happen again, but yet next week you're doing it again, right? And so yeah, that's big. So I'll quit hogging up the time. Keith or Leroy, do you have a question you want to ask? Leroy was just putting down a nice plate of food that I was sitting on my sharing. But hey,
Leroy, what you eating? What you eating, man?
we can't hear you. You gotta mute. You're on mute.
You're mute. You're mute.
You're
You're
mute.
muted. Leroy, there you go.
Voice in here.
What's that?
What are you eating?
That was the first time I've eaten food all day today. So forgive me.
It's all right. Let us know next time.
You're good. I just gotta find something to pick on somebody. But yeah. So what do you think about the conversation so far?
I think it's phenomenal in terms of just the vulnerability and the fact that these are things that are happening. We don't know what tomorrow will bring, and things are sort of there's pain, and and sooner or later it's going to be as we travel this journey, things are going to be revealed, and there is a silence, and because we all think we're kind of doing it by ourselves, or there's an embarrassment, there's a shame, and it's great to have a forum like this where
hold on a second, Leroy. Hold on a second. We have an intruder. No, how you doing, Miss was it Kiana? Come in here, sneaking in here on us. That's all right.
Lord,
if you don't mind going, if you don't mind continuing, you can go ahead. Is that all right with you, Mr. Frank? Mr. Goodrich, is it all right with you if she stays?
Good night, everyone.
Good night. We'll go ahead. We'll go ahead. I'm gonna Miss Sykes. I'm gonna go ahead and kick you off. Thank you for joining. This is the men's evening.
Give it the bye dance.
Hey, bye. Where's it?
Leroy, please, Leroy.
But Frank, one of the last things that you were just saying was about.
Oh, I'm sorry, God. I didn't know it was the men's night. Oh my goodness.
Yes,
Bye.
Bye. I was trying to find the removal switch here. Oh, it's over here. Okay.
Get that hook. Put her off the stage.
Bring the Sandman out. Sorry about that.
But yeah, Frank, you talk about time and how love is spelled T-I-M-E, and one of the challenges I feel is if I think as men, and I don't know, probably most people just think this way in terms of, well, you want to have a sense of, okay, are we talking about 6 months down the road, a sense of either pacing yourself or kind of knowing where the milestones are. But it sounds like in your situation, it's just kind of going one day at a time. And how do you manage, with just the journey and not knowing, where the end is?
Before you go, this is a question I asked a friend of mine earlier about goals and dreams, right? And can you have an ending to something that can be infinite? And I'm talking about connections and the puzzle and the dream that you're trying to put together. But yeah, go ahead. I'm glad you asked that. It's pretty cool. And we don't even know each other. We didn't talk about that, so that's cool. Go ahead.
Way to go, Eric. Yeah.
Wow. Well,
Oh, gee, that's it.
no, that's good. I have to be reminded every day. This is my journey with the one who hung up on a cross for me. Every day I have to be reminded and remind myself that he's not condemning me.
Mm-hmm.
That he is a compassionate Savior who one day is going to present me to God the Father as though I have never sinned. There's a lot of safety in that for me. Because I can be rough on myself. I can have a day where I look too much many times out my window or somebody walking by, or, but if God is for me, who can be like really against me? So my reminder is I'm doing the best I can. My reminder is, bro, you came a long way. My reminder is you're really sharing from the nerve, Frank. You're really talking about things that you really learn the language that is keeping you present today. And here's one. I never want to go back to those days again. So my North Star becomes where I was and where I'm headed, and the mission that I'm on with some amazing people, especially Rhonda. I mean, I often tell her, she says the same thing. And here's safety in marriage, Brother Leroy. When I can look at my wife, she can look right back at me and say, baby, it's us against the world. And there's a trust and a safety in that.
Yeah.
And that did not happen overnight. Remember, I threw that table in that kitchen in a violent act. Mm-hmm. And now it's the two of us in a pod together, just following the manna that God is laying out before us. Mm-hmm. And this is so important to me as the individual, even apart from Rhonda, that the whole premise of lustkills.com is from a compassionate basis, not from a judgmental basis. If you spend any time on Instagram, you can see 1,000 different million coaches talking about different things all the time. Just do this, just do that, just do this. Well, I just did all that stuff. And I'm still like, why am I still a mess?
Right.
It wasn't until I got in touch with the compassion of the cross. All of my crap was on Jesus when he hung on that cross. It was so ugly that God turned his back on Jesus in that moment. There's my freedom. There's my freedom. So if you spend any time on the website, you're going to see compassion and stories about, bro, you're free. And even if you still act like you're a slave, you're free if you name Jesus Christ Lord and Savior. He is our freedom. And when I fall in love with that, and I listen to Holy Spirit living inside of me, I'm no longer living from my old information. I hope that wasn't too much in theory. What am I doing every day? It's just like, he loves me. He loves me. I'm the apple of his eye. All that crap I went through that was done to me, and all that crap that I did to myself, I'm still the apple of his eye.
Beautiful.
And I think it's that going back, you operating in faith, right? Everybody should be operating in faith. You don't see the end. You don't see the end goal. You see it, but you don't see it in front of you, right? You see it here. Muhammad Ali says some people can see further than others. And the problem is some people can see it here. I call it over the horizon, right?
Like
right?
that. Like
But
that.
everybody wants it in front of them. The military background is just that's it. But over
Like
the horizon, it's an over the horizon target. And so everybody wants to see it here. If I can see it here, I'm gonna work my butt off to get there.
Yeah.
In this process, the process is the process. You don't know when it's going to end. You have no idea. You can feel as though it's ending here and you get a setback again. You get moved over. I like to tell people the storms come because it's got to cleanse, right? Like something has to be cleansed out. The negativity, the relationships, the behaviors, it has to be cleansed and you have to start all over. And that takes you back to that adversity part where you're down on your work at your worst moment, right? And now you're on stage where you got to perform because the camera's rolling, the lights are on. It's your time to shine. Enough is enough. And you got to get in there and start making something happen. And that's what you got to do. So there is no, I always laugh because my wife and I, like I said, we're getting ready to hit 32 years, February the 2nd. And I remember we got married and my parents split when I was 4 years old. And her parents split when I think she's around 15, 16 years old. And so year one come. So you got that 1 year itch. You ready to? You gonna stay? You ready to leave? No, we're good. We're good. Year three, you got that 3 year itch. Year five, you got the 5 year, 7 year itch. I'm like, we got 16, and both of us got quiet. We're like, because that's the time both of us said the parents split, and so it was just kind of we got through 16. You're like, all right, cool. But it took a while, time, right, to get that connection and build. And I tell people all the time, and I had to get her to understand. We didn't get married and everything went happily ever after. It ain't how it rolls. To this day, we still have a little argument and we roll on and do what we do. But before you'd have those arguments and you go to your corner, I go to my corner, or we bust a door down and I got to go to the hospital, whatever. But yeah, but I applaud you, man. Everybody's got to understand it's a process to get in. It ain't going to happen overnight. And don't compare. You said something earlier. I'm not in competition with anybody. And a lot of times when you're married and you're around other couples, there seems to be there starts to be a competition. Or when you're having problems and you're around other competition or other couples, there seems to be looking at it goes, man, look how they get along really nice. Man, I wish that was going on in my house. Wow, look how he's treating her. Oh, wow, look how she's treating him. Oh, and so now there's pressure on you to be like, well, that's what I do at my house. I do this. This is my relationship's better than that. But it's, we all have problems because they could be hiding that. That's like it's a facade in front of you. We got an agreement. We arguing, we fighting, but we're going to go here. We're going to perform and do what we don't normally do. We're going to keep it in the house. Right. So don't compete with anybody. I love what you said about that. Mr. Ross, can you talk on marriage just a little bit?
Yeah.
Wait, let me go ask my wife.
That's smart.
Mic drop.
I appreciate this. Thank you so much. Well, we've been married now. March will be 61 years.
Wow.
By the grace of God.
And everything was, you put the ring on her and everything was perfect.
Well, in the first few years, I learned to say about 10 years, let's say, there's no such thing as a perfect marriage, but there is a happy marriage.
Yeah, right.
It's not perfect because we are not perfect.
Exactly.
And though the Bible says we lead to perfection, not perfect. And you have to learn to, well, with the woman, first you have to count your man responsibility. You're going to be the man, you take your responsibility as a man. And you have to learn that the wife look for a man to support her and trust, especially by your word, not what your action, but what you say. And they're very emotional. They love attention. They love, at least my wife. I can't speak for every woman, but my wife like a lot of attention, and she appreciate anything I do. Around chores around the house and things around the house. And I don't say we never had an argument, but the Bible does say, "Don't let the sun go down on your wrath." Any problem we have, we communicate together. We talk about an issue. what she need, what I'm doing is not right, annoy her, bother her. And she tells me to say, and we work on those things, And no, well, that's all I'm gonna say right now. I'm enjoying what the brother's saying so much. And the old song said, one day at a time.
There you
Each
go.
day, each day.
That's all you get, right?
Yeah, well, yes. Well,
Yeah.
before you close your eyes at night, before she closes her eyes at night, any frequent infliction, you talk to her about
Yeah.
it. You don't go to bed angry or it's upset or turn your back. You dissolve each situation, meet the need right then and there. That's basically it.
I've learned I got to be a little careful because she's watching a lot of these cold murder cases and a lot of them almost got away with it. So I got to be very careful.
Oh, my sister been watching that.
She's a true investigator. True investigator. No, but I like that. I like that. So thank you for sharing that, because I'm gonna be honest, you don't see it often in the community, in our community, that they're 60 years in there. That's awesome. I love that. That's great. So I aspire to get to that. I'm 32. I gotta keep living to make that one. But yeah, man, I love that. Keith, did you have anything you want to share? I know he talked about he had to get to work. I want to make sure he gets what he needs. So I kind of, with no picture, I just kind of went silent on. I apologize. Yeah, he may have gone back.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, I'm still at work. I mean, I'm on break right now, so I got, still got this time with you guys, and it's great. So
yes,
I'll just say briefly that I appreciate Frank so much. I mean, I've known him for a long time, and we lost touch for a period of time. We got reunited, and I got to see him a couple years ago when I was back in Maryland for a visit, and he shared with me the story with Rhonda, and I was just amazed. And,
yes.
only God can do that. I mean, that's the
Right.
thing. God, brought those two back together. I mean, that's just a miracle. And so I was just so blessed to hear that, when I got to spend time with Frank in person. And I'm so grateful for this conversation, just because, I come from, I'll just say, I'm not trying to steal the show here at all, but I understand sexual addiction because I've been there. I've done that. And it's when my wife found out, the things I was doing online, that deeply hurt her, and I really thought my marriage was over. And by the grace of God, we're still together, and it's day at a time, and that is it's just been a miracle on my end, because I really thought I was going to lose her and lose a lot, and grace God for second chances, and we're still together. We're just celebrating 8 years of marriage back last month, and
cool. That's cool.
So I am just so
wonderful.
grateful.
Yes.
Yeah, it goes back to work being rewarded, right? If you don't work on yourself, you don't get your wife back. You don't get another year. And
Right.
So that's good there.
That's great.
Great, Keith.
Yeah, thank you. Man, it's a challenging time. I mean, how much does ego play in your ability to share what's going on? I mean, ego drives us, right? Sometimes if we don't realize what it does to us, ego, not really wanting to be transparent, right? I can't be vulnerable. And I like this stage right here because we're able to share and talk about those things.
Yes.
It's very important to just come out and just say, I have to admit, my mindset is not really always the greatest, but I remember I remember the first time I heard sexual addiction. Now I've heard about the rapists, and I heard about the other people, child molesters and all that, but I never heard anybody come out and say that they had an addiction to sex until I heard, I think it was Eric Benet come out and say it, who the singer, right? And I think the response was, really? You know, like really? Is such a thing? And so it's always interesting to find out that that is the case. And so to find out that there's an actual community of people out there who are struggling and go through it every day. So I definitely commend you on, like I said, stepping out and letting people know what's going on, because like I said, I didn't even realize it was a case until Eric Benet mentioned it. And I think since then you've heard a lot more. With that, we're hitting about 9 o'clock. And so I want to see anybody else have any questions. Sean, you have anything you want to put out? Okay.
No, this is absolutely amazing. So I'm definitely I'm full, so I'm good.
Yeah, like I said, I didn't get a chance to catch you last week, but I listened to the rewind, and I applaud you. I work here I'm in the Maryland area as well, so we'd have to connect one day and see what we can partner up and kind of make happen. I mentor at the high schools, and I work with a lot of young men who are struggling with things, and so you never know what we can do here. So with that, I want to thank everybody for coming out and taking time out on this Saturday. A lot of times, I can imagine years ago, Saturday at 8 o'clock, I was not going to be in front of the Zoom call doing the men's call, right? I wasn't even going to be a part of it. So it's funny how when you grow, things change, right? What's important to you changes. And it's not the bottle, it's not the going out drinking and hanging out watching the games, or hanging out at the bars, or with our buddies barbecuing and everything else. It's about getting the knowledge to grow. And that's the key right there. The ability to take in and learn from everybody, because you don't have all the answers. Like Mr. Ross said earlier, we're not perfect. So our job is to learn from everybody. You can learn the positive, you can from the negative. But the key is to be able to find opportunities to continuously learn so that we don't become stagnant. And we all know about what stagnant water smells like, right? It stinks. And nobody wants to live that life. So I applaud everybody. We'll be back again. We'll be back to our own schedule in February of the third Saturday of the month.
Okay, good.
So we'll be back to the regular schedule. Mr. Goodridge hogged up our schedule last week. That was our day. Now, we really appreciate you, because that is valuable to have a couple come on and talk about the issues that they have, right? And that they've gone through, and especially that trauma like that, man, that's huge. So, because like I said, we grew up in a neighborhood, we grew up at a time where what goes on in this house stays in this house. Yeah, so I applaud you. And did you want to leave us with anything there, Mr. Goodridge?
Just want to thank you, Brother Eric, and thank Brother Sean. Once again, thanks Sister Doreen and Sister Beverly.
Right.
My wife and I slide in here and share some of our experiences with your audience, and we're richer because of it. So thank you so much.
Well, we're glad to have you. Thank you as well. And Leroy, thank you for not sharing dinner with us. We understand, And Keith, thank you for spending your break time with us. We're glad to have you as well. And Mr. Ross, I'm always excited to see you.
Same, likewise, yes, sir.
I always I like it because you get on here and you see the different generations that we have here. And that is important, because you got wisdom and you got some understanding that needs to happen, some learning, right? And we're passing on. I tell people all the time, it's the legacy you leave. And if you don't believe me, you take a look at Dr. Martin Luther King died in 55 years ago. His speech on Washington was 60 years ago. And so now we're still talking about him after all of that time. So it's the legacy, and your ability to connect and to leave this place a better place is important. And this is where it starts right here. So with that, man, I thank you all. Y'all take it easy. I'll see y'all next month.
That's right. Okay, sir.
Or as my man said, God willing, and the creek don't flow, or river don't overflow, or something like that. Take care.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Have a good night. God bless you all.